I grew up in El Paso, Texas, and I was never really close to God. Didn't have any relationship with God. I was always far from Him. As a matter of fact, one could say I was probably running from Him. A switch kind of went off in my life when I was about 12 years old. My parents divorced, and I basically snapped. Started running heavy with the wrong people, got heavy into drugs, alcohol, and other things. It got so bad to the point that my parents finally decided that they wanted to put me in a drug rehab facility. And they knew that I wouldn't go, so they ended up having to trick me to go. I was there for about 7 months, and it was the most horrendous 7 months of my entire life. I saw a couple friends that committed suicide while I was in there. And by the end of it, I was ready to say anything, do anything I could to get out of there. So after I got out, I was pretty good for a couple of months, but it didn't last. I was still, got back into the drugs and the alcohol. Nothing changed. The only thing I did change was I got really good at hiding it. And this went on for the next 12, 13 years until I met my wife, Aisha, in Las Vegas. Aisha and I, we hit it off real well. We actually ended up going to college together at UNLV. While God was never on the forefront of my mind, I started questioning His existence and how it was possible for Him to exist and how it was possible for Him to do all these things. So I ended up being somewhat agnostic. I honestly feel like at the time, having Aisha in my life was really good. I wasn't doing all the things that I'd done earlier. I had to kind of a pause there, and things were going really well until I moved to Arizona. So after I got to Arizona, it started weighing on me that I didn't feel like I was ready to be a dad. I wasn't ready to be a family man, was not ready to settle down. So as an escape, I picked the guitar up and I started going to the bars and playing music. I was drinking a lot, coming home late at nights, affected the job and everything else. It even progressed to a point where I went outside my marriage. And that went on for a little while. Aisha didn't know about it. And one day I just decided to appease her. I decided to come to New Heights with her. So I went to church for the first time in many years, agnostic individual. I honestly just went in just kind of see what it was about, just to keep her happy, keep her think that I was still engaged with our marriage. But something changed the minute that I walked in that door. People were very friendly, smiling, and I thought it was all part of the charade. But really, when I walked in through those double doors and saw that band playing the worship music that they did, something was different about that. When we left that day, my wife stopped me in the parking lot, literally right outside the front doors, and told me that she knew about the other. And at that moment, I just had this rushing feeling that everything that I've done, it has to stop, and it's going to stop. So as part of my end of the bargain, I ended up joining a Living Free group, which was a huge step for me, being agnostic, going into a room full of believers for 13 weeks straight, talking about the Word. It was very uncomfortable at times, to the point where I could have easily just not have gone. I could have stopped at any point during this time. But while I was going through this Living Free group, in addition to going to church every Sunday, I became hungry. So I started on this journey, doing a lot of research, reading a lot of books, coming to church every Sunday. And the whole time, my whole thought process was, it's not possible, it's not possible. And during this time, I thought, you know what, let's change it for a second, and let's look at it from the point of view of, is it possible? And once I started looking at it from that perspective, I started just seeing things just come together. Remember, at this moment, going through all these things, I finally declared my belief for the Lord Jesus. And my life group leader looked at me and says, Rich, he showed you everything you needed us to see. So after I declared that belief, just things began to change. Things got really good. My family started liking me. I started liking them again. We like to hang out all the time, have really good friends that we keep around, we keep in touch and have good times with, all church friends. Started playing on the worship team, and let me tell you, every Sunday, playing that guitar, being a vessel for God, just pouring out, is just an amazing feeling. So looking back in my entire life, since I was 12 years old, and all those dark times that came, I thought, wow, While I was running from God, He was with me the entire time. There were so many times that I should have died. I should not be sitting here telling you the story today. But He was with me the whole time. He carried me through and saved me in so many areas. It's amazing to me when you think about it, how God's purpose just comes at the right time.